goodness me. Where do I start? Robert, a man of many talents. He's a poet, and we didn't know it. Who would have known? But I was running a leadership program today, and I always use the phrase that the greatest leadership tool you have is your personal example. And I'm just so lucky that every single time I've got an array of personal examples that Robert has exhibited over the time that I've known him, that I can just keep pulling out Robert Harvey stories and time and time again, because I've never met a man who led by his personal example better than Robert Harvey. So, mate, thank you very much for your kind words. To the other guys up here tonight, and again, I had the pleasure of playing with every single one of you, and it was an absolute pleasure. You're all different characters, slightly different to me sometimes, but the club would not have been the same, and I certainly would not have enjoyed my football without playing alongside you guys. And I did actually write some notes, but I left them at home, so I'm going to have to wing it. So if I stumble a little bit, please let me go. But people often ask me, what is the highlight of my time at the Saints? And obviously, we don't have any silverware to look back on. That would have been a highlight. But in my little office that I've got, the club gave me when I finished this plaque, and it's got every single player that I played with written on that plaque, and there was exactly 200 players. And I find myself every now and again just daydreaming, looking at that plaque and looking at the names. So in terms of highlights, I don't have the silverware, but the fact that I managed to hang around for 3 different generations it's a highlight that money can't buy. And right back in the early days when I called men like Trevor Barker and Joffa Cunningham and Greg Burns and Robert Elphinstone, I called them teammates. How many in the room would have loved to have done that? And then not long after that, the great Danny Frawley, to have Sparta's captain for 9 years, you just got to pinch yourself. And I kicked the ball to Tony Lockett. How exciting is that? And Nicky Winmar in the room tonight. Give him a round of applause. What a legend. How can that man not be in the AFL Hall of Fame while we're talking about Hall of Fames? But that's another story. And then to go through the years and spend time alongside Stuart Lowe, again, a man who was, in terms of personal example and leadership, he had everything. And to call him a mate as well as a teammate is something that I will always treasure. And then to push through the 90s and then to still be hanging around, just albeit by a fingernail, to see the Kazitskis and the Rewalts and the Montagniers and Del Santos and Goddards come into the team, and to call those guys teammates, so to span that length of time it's a highlight that I will cherish forever. And there were some clowns in the middle that I need to mention as well, and there's one table of them over there tonight. I'll mention them: Peter Freeman and his wife Sam, and Frank and Sue Coughlin, and Danny and Kim Craven, and Jack and Mel Daniels, and Brett and Dee Bowie. And I'm mentioning the females as well, their partners, because to be honest, they are by far the best part of that little combination that I mentioned, by a long way. So you not only get to work with the players, but you get to meet their partners and things like that as well, which is just something to treasure. Where do I start? So I'll probably start chronologically and go right back to, I'm lucky enough to have my parents here tonight, Barry and Glenna, so give them a round of applause. Certainly, my dad, there was no greater supporter than him. He taught me how to play football. He taught me what I needed to get up here tonight. And if you look at the highlights, he didn't teach me how to take speckies. He didn't teach me how to do what Milne did and run around people and kick goals. And he didn't teach me how to kick the ball 50 metres on my left foot. I couldn't do any of that sort of stuff, so I didn't try. But what he taught me was to play football, you need to be consistent. It's all about effort from the first siren to the last siren. It's about leadership. It's about turning up every single day, no matter what the scoreboard is. And they were the lessons that he taught me right from when I first pulled on a pair of red shorts down there at the Pines, ran about as a 7 or 8 year old. And without those lessons, I guarantee I wouldn't be here tonight. And in later years, he taught me what a good father is and what a good man is and what a good role model is. So always be grateful for that. Obviously, Mum's over there as well. And growing up in the Pines, there were opportunities to get into some bad stuff, but the thought of ever disappointing her, to do anything wrong to disappoint her, was just never going to enter my mind. And she certainly kept the family together. And again, just about the best mum anyone could actually ask for. One of the things you can't do when you're playing AFL football is get ahead of yourself and get a big head. And fortunately or unfortunately, I had 3 older sisters. And if there was any sign that I was going to get ahead of myself and get a big head, that was slapped out of me very, very quickly by having 3 older sisters. And they were there as the most immense supporters that anybody could have. You've probably seen one of them going around getting photos with everyone tonight. She's a pain in the arse, but she's enjoying herself, which is the main thing. But they deserve this night as well, because they rode the ups and downs just as much as what I did. And as they got married and had kids, well, we all became part of the St Kilda family. And if anyone had the probably displeasure of sitting next to them at the football and said something bad about me, well, they'd certainly bite back very, very quickly. And I knew I had that loyal support in the background. At the football club, Milne had 5 coaches. I'd go a couple better, I had 7. And as I said, there's probably some that deserve a mention. And I go right back to where I started, and sitting in the office of the great Daryl Baldock, my first coach. Give him a clap. And Doc was ahead of his time. He said, Berkey, I want you to give me 3 words, 3 things that you want said about you when you finish playing this game. So I thought long and hard, and I went away and came back the next day, and they were hard and tough, which was 3 words, all in one. I said, I want to be consistent and I want to be loyal. And I did actually spend the next 17 years trying to make Doc proud and live up to my promise to him. So hopefully tonight's a little bit of vindication that I did that. A man down the front here, Kenny Sheldon, you might not remember it, but it was 1992. I'd played for 5 years, and Kenny invited me to go and play a game of golf for him. It wasn't anywhere flash, it was just down at Brighton. And we played 9 holes, and Kenny didn't say anything. I was a bit worried. I thought, what's coming now? Is he going to offer me to go somewhere else? And we got through 12, 14, 15, got around about the 16th hole, and Kenny opened up and he just said, Burke, it's about time you stepped out of the back pocket. It's about time you made that leap from just becoming a good ordinary player to something more. And I believe that you can actually do it. And 2 things. He said, I believe you can do it. Then he said, I'll give you the opportunity. So 1993, he played me in the midfield, and that was sort of where I took off. So Bomber, thank you. And I obviously understand we got close, we gave it a real good crack, we didn't quite get there, but I learnt so much about life and being a good man, understand Elf, so always thanks Stan. And towards the end of my career, 2001 I did my knee in round 10, missed the rest of that year, and 2002 I did it again in round